I teach people find the 3 areas that you are most passionate about and figure out what the nexus is, right? Where those 3 areas actually overlap. And in that overlapping area, that's where your content niche is. And so that's essentially what I did. I said, okay, this is where leadership, technology, and media, like on the underside, you know this very well, Nikki, on the underside of media and streaming and content creation is technology. That's just the truth. Anybody who knows this knows this. And so the media and the technology was not hard to stack. The leadership portion, I wasn't sure how I was going to come in, but I recognize it now as just being a thought leader in your particular space, in your particular niche, and in your particular area of discipline and expertise. So those 3 kind of merged very well for me to be able to create this space. And I was on a call with a couple of guys, accountability partners.
Is it hard?
Welcome to the Breaking the Silence podcast. I am your host, author Nikki Nicole. Here I believe in winning together and creating a safe, supportive space for people to share their stories and start their healing journey. My passion is to help people confront hidden battles, embrace their truths, and take steps towards a more fulfilling life. Every episode is designed to break the silence on topics that often go unspoken, leading to conversations that uplift, inspire, and transform. Join me as we break the barriers and find strength through shared experiences, one story at a time. Welcome back to another episode of Breaking the Silence, where you can unleash your inner voice. I am your host, Arthur Nikki Nicole, and season 5 is still going with some amazing people taking things to the next level and winning. Over the past seasons, you've seen pain uncovered, new talent discovered, and transformation has occurred. Every episode has broke the silence in some type of way. And I will continue to shine that light in the darkness to empower people to rise to the next level. It is time for us to be heard. It's time for us to be healed. And it's time for us to transform. So let's get to the reason why we're here today. I am when I say excited, I'm beyond excited to have the guest that I have today, Mr. Kirk Nugent. I have been following him so long and trying to create things that he created. Might not be perfect, but hey, I try. He is so amazing, guys. He is known as the Geek Speaker Preacher, a man who wears so many hats. He's a media pastor for Oakwood University Church, digital content specialist for Breath of Life Ministries, entrepreneur that shares a business called Composition LLC with his wife. They aim to provide digital services and best practices to entrepreneurs and small businesses and faith-based entities. And also, he's my favorite graphic designer. So, after his countdown, please welcome Mr. Kirk Nugent to the Breaking the Silence platform.
Yes. That was dope.
Thank you so much for accepting my invitation.
Absolutely. I'm super excited to be here and honored as well. You know, I I count it a privilege to be able to serve in some small capacity in the stories and the lives of those who have subscribed to the channel. Maybe they're looking for some graphic design like you, or maybe they're looking for some live streaming help. But I am just so excited to be able to be here and again to play a small part in your story. And this is just such a dope platform, the Breaking the Silence podcast. So I'm excited to be here.
Thank you so much. So let's find out what inspired you to start creating content, and then not only just creating content, but helping others along the way.
So mine is twofold. I actually have two pieces to the story. I'll try and tell them as quickly as I can. But the first piece is I actually started out with content creation as a fitness vlog. And I was doing it as a means of accountability. So I was trying to lose some weight. And there was this insanity challenge that I was taking. And I wanted to make sure I was consistent because it was a 60-day challenge and I'd never done anything like that before. And so one of the things that I liked to do or was trying to learn how to do was to create video content. And so I was like, man, what if I do a vlog every day of the 60-day challenge? So that's how I kind of got started. I had a YouTube channel just like everybody else because I have a Gmail account, but just decided to kind of start parking some of that content on that YouTube channel and just to see where it would go. Really not for any other purpose, but just to maintain accountability. And of course, there was a small group of folks that I was doing the challenge with, 3 or 4. And so they would check out the videos, and that for the most part, I thought would be all of it. But after 60 days of putting out a video every day, I realized that there was so many other people who wanted to follow along that journey with me, so many other people who wanted to do something similar. And what I was doing was motivational to them. So many other people. There's so many things I learned, of course, about video editing, graphic design, and structuring my videos. And man, so many mistakes that I made as well, if I'm honest, in terms of all of the different things that happen with when you're doing video content like that. But that was my first foray into the content creator world. My second foray into it was, of course, during the pandemic. I still had the YouTube channel, hadn't done anything with it since I had done the fitness vlog. I just would put little videos there on, like I said, different videos. My family and I lived in South Africa, so we had a lot of little videos on there. And some of them, would catch the attention of the algorithm. They would do some things, but nothing too crazy. I was sitting at around 60 subscribers. And right around the pandemic, I decided, okay, I'm going to I had a bunch of guys at my church I was trying to teach how to use StreamYard. StreamYard was the platform that we had decided to use because we had to go online suddenly. We didn't have the opportunity like many other people to kind of gradually learn the ropes. And so I had to get my team up to speed very quickly. And I was teaching them how to do some things. And one of their requests was, can you just do it in a video and then put it on YouTube and then share the video with us? And I was doing that, and I was doing that in a private fashion, right? So they had access to the videos, but no one else had access to the videos. And so one of my primary guys at the church was like, hey, can you make this public? Because I'd like to share it with at least 1 or 2 people. I said, sure, why not? That video now has 60,000 views. And so I realized, just as I realized before, right, kind of reminded me about what my experience had been on YouTube prior with the fitness vlog. I was like, man, I wonder if there are other people out here who need these tutorials, practical tutorials, DIY videos, how-to videos on live streaming, but more specifically, how to utilize these broadcast platforms like StreamYard, EVMux, Restream, BeLive, Melon app. The list goes on. Ecamm is one of the ones that I've kind of settled on, but there's so many different platforms out there. And one of the things that fascinated me about the whole, streaming thing was I had been in broadcast production. And then you see this website come up, and it's like, you can do a whole live show in that. And so for somebody who knew what it took to do a full live show, I was blown away by what was possible with StreamYard. But again, I brought the same mentality of big box production to the StreamYard platform. And there were times where even the founders of StreamYard, Dan and Gage, would come in the chat while I was streaming, and they'd be like, what show is this? What are you using to stream today? I'm like, I'm using StreamYard. And they're like, I didn't even know StreamYard could look like this. This is crazy. How are you doing this right now? These are the founders of the platform. And I knew from then, okay, I've got something that I need to absolutely capitalize on and share that secret sauce with the world. Because this is what I tell people, Nikki, and you're going to have to shut me up, right? But this is what I tell people. Your live stream is your digital storefront. It allows people to kind of peek in the window and see what you got going on in there and be like, okay, I like that. You know what? And that's when they decide to come into the store. That's when they decide. And when they come into the store after having looked through the storefront, they are coming in with intent to buy. They're not coming in on a random because they didn't know what was in there. It's like, let's see what's in this store. No, when you have a storefront, you know, Front Street USA, back in the day, you had Main Street and everything was on Main Street, and people would actually pay you, Nicole. They'd pay you to put things in your storefront because that was their form of advertising back in the day. And so your live stream allows people at a very low investment and low commitment to peek in and see what you got. I like what Nikki's got over there. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and go inside. Let me see is she selling anything? Is she have any services to provide? And so once I started to make some of those connections, I began to realize like this is a whole thing that people need to know about. And I'm not going to gatekeep this thing. I'm just going to provide it as value to anybody that's out there. Most of the services that I sell are services that have to do with me. Like if you want to get coached by me, if you want to take those are things that I sell. I don't necessarily sell the information. I just sell you the cheat code, which is me. So those are some of the pieces that I just kind of realized these are opportunities that I wanted to really capitalize on. And I haven't looked back. It's become a full-time business for me. Everything else I would say is secondary. This has been my primary thing.
And look at you now. You said you started with 60 subscribers and 60. Now you're almost at 10K.
That's correct. That is correct. We're knocking on 10,000 and I'm super excited about that. I can't wait. I'm hoping to hit it before the end of the year. So that's another goal, another milestone that I'm looking forward to experience and on this journey called content creation.
So how did YouTube is hard. How did you get to 10K and how long did it take for you to get there on YouTube?
So YouTube, let me say this way. YouTube is an algorithm. And this is the reason why the subscriber count means something. And it's also why the subscriber count sometimes doesn't mean anything. So let me give you the doesn't mean something first. It is an algorithm and what you get out of it is what you put into it. So if you want to become, viral and famous and have all the subscribers and all that other good stuff, if that's your goal, then there are some things you need to know and there's some rules you need to play by, and you will grow exponentially fast as long as you do those things, you adhere to those rules. That's one way. That's just not what most people do. And that's not most people's story. So I would say, from a macro standpoint, just kind of zoom out a little bit and look at all the people that are trying to grow on YouTube. I would say my journey has actually been kind of slow, and I would prefer it that way because slow growth is organic growth and organic growth is sustainable growth. Do you know that the only area in the world, only arena of conversation where viral is good is social media? Like if the doctor comes in the room and says it's gone viral, we're going to have a prayer session.
Okay.
Because viral is not good in any other scenario in the world except for social media. And I would dare say that social media viral is not good either. And so we have a lot of people that's trying to manufacture these breakout quote unquote viral moments, but it's not sustainable. Right. So I actually don't. I had a coaching client. I think this is still very much in line with what you're asking. I had a coaching client who had a viral moment on a video about his office studio. He did a quick video on his office studio. Now, this guy's channel is about web design. He's mainly focuses on, I forgot the name of the platform. It's not WordPress. It's Wix. Mainly focuses on Wix. And he does he's giving people all the game from a marketing perspective, how to really take your, web design services to the next level. That's what his channel's about. But he just decided I'm going to do a quick tour of my home studio where I record my content and put that up on my channel as well. Well, that video went viral and people are looking for him to create more content about his studio. They're looking for him to create more content about his chair and his camera and his mic and his lights. and the way he set it up and the way they're looking for him to create content to teach them about how they can set up their own studio the way that he has set up his. That's what they subscribe for. Right. In a matter of a month, he had almost 20,000 people subscribe to his channel. It was a viral moment, but it was viral in the wrong direction. And now he's having to figure out whether he should just scrap that channel and start a new one. Because his main focus, his passion in life is to teach people how to do web design. You see what I'm saying? So YouTube does a really great job of taking what your content is and serving it up to the people who want that content. We, as the creators, need to be very clear with YouTube that this is what my content is, and I don't really want the others. And so my growth trajectory has been slower because the audience that I'm looking to serve is a smaller audience, and they don't typically hit the subscribe button. You see how that all comes back together now. So so on the one side, it has never been my goal to have 100 or 100,000 millions of subscribers, even though most people say that, oh, Kirk, I can't even believe you don't have that many. How your channel doesn't have 250 or 500,000 subscribers is mind-boggling to me. But the thing that to me that makes the creating of the content and all the work that I do more beneficial, it fulfills me is people like you. People like, who have joined the community, who are regulars in the chat, who come and they're telling me about what they're using, what they're doing content on, and how they're utilizing what I'm teaching. That is what refills me. And here's a thing that most people never think about. You cannot realistically serve 10,000 people. No, you can't. I can't. If all 10,000 of my subscribers, I have got 9,700 right now. But if all 9,700 of them decide tomorrow that they want to book a consult session, I can't serve them all. I can't.
Too many people.
It's too many people. I'm just one person. YouTube is a platform that enables me to serve at scale. I can put out one video, and all those people can go and consume that video, and they can learn what it is I'm teaching in that video. That's an awesome thing. And that's why I'm constantly encouraging people to really think about content from that perspective. And in that perspective, let's be clear. If 5 people are impacted by the video that you put out, that's a lot of people. And that's significant impact. Those are 5 lives that have been changed and will never go back. You see what I'm saying? So when you look at it from that perspective, we can't get caught up in the vanity metrics. You just recognize I'm humbled and honored to be where I am. And it took me, we're 2024 now. So I'd say it took me 3.5 years, just let's call it 4 years, to be able to have that growth from 60 subscribers to where I am now. And I'm excited about that. I'm proud of that. But I just know from a reality standpoint, I can't serve all 9,700 of those people if they all decided to book me. Now, I would love if they were to try, but the reality is that, even from a analytics perspective, most people who watch your channel, they don't subscribe. No. 90% of the people who watch my videos are not subscribers, and YouTube keeps on serving them my videos, and they keep on watching them, but they have not seen fit or they didn't see it required. They didn't see the need to hit the subscribe button. I had a guy book a session with me, and I was like, hey, I remember seeing you in the comments, a year or so ago. I haven't seen you for a while. He's like, yeah, for some reason I stopped getting YouTube stopped pushing me your content, and I never subscribed, so I didn't even know how to find your channel. And so when it came back up, I hit the subscribe button and then booked a session with you because I was like, oh my gosh, I've been looking for this guy, and I couldn't find him anymore. And so this is a reality that happens. And I've shared that to say, if you're listening to this and you're thinking, man, content, it's so difficult, I don't know if this is something I want to do. I want to say this, man, there's nothing worth having that's not difficult. There's nothing, nobody, like no mother's going to tell you that the birth of their child was easy. No,
Right.
not one. But would they tell you that having the pain they went through to have the child was worth it? It was absolutely worth it, because nothing worth having that's worth having is going to come to you easily. And
You put it that way. That's a good way to
come
put
on,
it.
come on. It's hard. It's going to be hard, and you get to choose your hard. You get to choose. We get to choose our hard. You know, it's hard to be disciplined and eat well and exercise daily and go for the walks and practice deep breathing and reflection. But it's also hard to deal with diabetes and hypertension and high blood pressure. You get to choose your hard. You see what I'm saying? You get to choose. It's hard not to eat the chips and the pizza and the burgers. But then it's also hard to come down with these lifestyle diseases. We get to choose our hard, and there's nothing in life that's worth having that's not going to be hard. And so don't think of the hard as a deterrent to starting or continuing on your content journey. You get to choose your hard, and you may sometimes get to a place where you enjoy your hard, and that's kind of the space that I'm in right now. So I love that question. Thank you so much.
So how did you discover your niche, and why did you choose it? Because people think niche is the same thing as target audience, but they're not.
They're not.
So how did you say, this is what I want to do and this is what I'm going to stick with?
So this is interesting. I feel like my niche kind of chose me. Now, I will say right here as a disclaimer, I'm a person of faith. And I wear it on my sleeve. I just believe that every step of the believer's life is ordered. I remember being frustrated at work and frustrated about everything that I was doing. I was doing this kind of media ministry thing on the side, but I was a higher ed CIO, Chief Information Officer. So I ran technology for an entire college here in North Alabama. And I was just frustrated. I didn't like anything to do with it. And what I didn't realize at the time, I have the benefit of perspective, being able to look back now and recognize what God was doing. But I didn't realize at the time that he was frustrating me out of that position. In fact, I can even say with clarity that particular job, I should never have taken it. I should have transitioned out of my previous position into content creation full time. But I couldn't see it. I was trying to go the safe route, as they say. I had an opportunity to go to this bigger school, make a bigger paycheck, doing what I was qualified to do, but I didn't connect the dots that God was shifting me to a different season and calling me to do something different. So I wanted to do content, but wasn't really sure what. And as I mentioned, with my first couple of videos, I was just putting them out for my team to, be able to get training on what we were doing with StreamYard. And so my idea was I'm this technology leader. I love leadership, and I study it as a practice and as a discipline. And then I'm also a media practitioner as well. Like I mentioned, I was in big box production. So I wanted to merge those three areas, technology, leadership, and media, and find a way to share those tips, tricks, best practices with the world in a way that was meaningful, in a way that they wanted to see it. And this is what I teach. I teach people find the three areas that you are most passionate about and figure out what the nexus is, right? Where those three areas actually overlap. And in that overlapping area, that's where your content niche is. And so that's essentially what I did. I said, okay, this is where leadership, technology, and media, like, on the underside, you know this very well, Nikki, on the underside of media and streaming and content creation is technology. That's just the truth. Anybody who knows this knows this. And so the media and the technology was not hard to stack. The leadership portion, I wasn't sure how I was going to come in, but I recognize it now as just being a thought leader in your particular space, in your particular niche, and in your particular area of discipline and expertise. So those three kind of merged very well for me to be able to create this space. And I was on a call with a couple of guys, accountability partners. We meet up once a week, and they were saying, so Kirk, what's the name? What you going to name the channel? And right then and there, I just said how it all works. And there was silence on the phone for a second. And one of my guys said to me, do you own that domain? And I said, yes, as I was typing in on GoDaddy.com to buy the domain as he said that. And I realized that the O, how it all works with the O was not available. So I put in E, how it all works, WERKS, and I found that was available, and I purchased it right then and there while we were on the call. And it wasn't until 3-4 years later that God showed me Romans 8:28, and that text is exactly what he was showing me with how it all works, and that this would not only be the title of my channel, but it would be the signature program that I would teach. For we know that in all things they work together for the good of those that love him and are called according to his purpose. If you listen to that verse, you'll actually hear how it all works. And what God was telling me is that we live in the contingency plan. We quite literally, because we have autonomy, we have free will, we have choice, we can do whatever it is we want to do, but God still has a calling for our lives. And so what God does, he will work it together. He'll take the good and the bad, the things that he intended and the things that we brought upon ourselves, and he'll work it together for our good. And so one of the things that I do whenever I coach folks, I ask them, what's your limp? What do you struggle with? What is that thing that you brought upon yourself, but now that you have had that experience, you can go back and teach somebody else? That is content that will go viral. That is content that will move the needle. That's content that will allow you to serve, because your story is your fingerprint. Is just as unique and special as a fingerprint. No two stories are alike. And because God is working it together for your good, he's the author of that story, even though we have free will, even though we have free choice. And when you are familiar with your story, when you have done the non-sexy, behind the scenes, no limelight work, right, to understand and mine the gold that is in your story, you can now bring that gold, right, the insight, the wisdom, the perspective, the lessons learned from your story and your experiences, you can bring that to the marketplace. And the no better way to bring that to the marketplace than through content or through live shows, so that people can learn from what you've experienced. And here's the cheat code, y'all. No one can argue with you when it's your story. You see, you are the expert when it comes onto your experiences and especially your story. I love that. I'm going to shut up right there.
I love that. I never thought about it. I love that. Woo. You're right. Nobody can argue with you about your story. You know your story better than anybody.
Nobody. And you don't need notes. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't need to prep. Like, it's my story. This is what I do. And it's just such a dope experience. And I can't tell you, it's so exhilarating and thrilling to be able to coach people through these experiences where they're like, yo, I just felt in the zone because this is my bag. Like, this is what I'm telling people from my lived experience, the lessons that I learned, and they're taking them as gold, as wisdom, because that's exactly what it is.
Mm-hmm. Exactly what it is.
Yeah.
So now we know there's rewarding parts of content creation.
Absolutely.
But there's also that dark side.
Yes, it is.
So what is your biggest challenge that you faced as a content creator?
Man, the biggest challenge for me, that's a really good question. Let me just pause and say that is a really good question. I faced a number of challenges. Skill sets was one challenge. I actually did not know how to live stream well. I did not know how to edit video well. I did not understand how to scale a brand. I didn't even understand branding. In fact, there are things that I was doing that a branding expert had to show me, this is what you're doing that's actually working. Because from my branding coach's perspective, he says, you just brand, you're a branding natural. You do it naturally, but the rest of us have terminology for some of the things that you do naturally. So let me give you the terminology so that you can teach others what you're doing that's actually working. And I'm like, oh, thank you. So skill sets was a major challenge, a major hurdle. Another thing was there's a reticence and the terminology escapes me, but the hesitancy to be the face of whatever, right? I mean, I'm not perfect, right? So who am I to say, I'm the face of this thing. I don't know if I want that. So there's those pieces. So I just share those just in general, but probably the biggest challenge that I face, or I probably still face, is just recognizing what is the best next move. What's the best next step? What's the best next video? What do I, from a strategy standpoint, because I'm a content entrepreneur, so I'm not just creating videos. The videos are at the top of the funnel. Those are the things that I use to bring people into the ecosystem. Then the other ways that they engage with me is actually how I support myself. That's how I earn a living. So what is the strategy that you employ? All right. Or better yet, what is it that I don't know that I need to know yesterday in order to take my business and brand to the next level? So to me, that's the greatest challenge. And I want to quickly add, that's why I love this space. Because there's no 2 days that are alike. And it's constantly in a state of flux and change, which means I'm always learning. There are times that I learned something in the morning and went live at noon and taught it because that's how fluid this space is. And the person who has the infrastructure and the systems and processes in place to be able to capitalize on those moments as quickly as possible, they win. Simple. I mean, the whole StreamYard price hike thing was one of those things where many people were like, I know I need to create content on this, but I need to do a little bit. But because of some of the stuff I had already put in place, because of the infrastructure of system and processes, I was able to drop videos immediately, even before StreamYard did. And even at a creator conference a couple weeks ago, several other people who cover StreamYard content said to me, man, when your video dropped, I just decided I'm not even gonna put one out. Because again, it's one of those things where it's to yesterday's success. Yes, celebrate it, but don't live in it. Don't make it part of your identity, because today is a new day and will require a new strategy, a new skill set. And so you have to kind of get into a rhythm of being comfortable, being uncomfortable.
That part. Exactly.
Yeah.
But you know what? When StreamYard went up on the price, and I did downgrade the plan, but then I started thinking about it. I really don't need all the storage that I think I need.
Yeah.
I can just delete it after I finish it.
There's so many ways, and this is what it caused people to do, is to really rethink what they're doing. I mean, I had a client who was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm not paying that," and then I said, "Okay, you're free to make the shift, but let's just go over some numbers real quick." And we went over some numbers, and he realized that from his content, this is a business, he's made deals that have brought in income to his business that dwarf the amount that he was paying for StreamYard. Wow. And once he began to look at it through that lens, he started to kind of be like, oh, I upgrade me to the higher tier. How about that? Because now I'm realizing, like, the benefit, right? Cost benefit ratio was so ridiculously over here. I mean, all they did was kind of do like this. I'm still way up here in terms of benefit, and the cost is still way down here. So it's going to go from person to person to person. But I think it was a really great thing for it to have happened, because it caused all of us to stand up, take notice, pay attention, really reassess. Am I using this? Am I not using this? Maybe let me get out of it. Like maybe let me downgrade. Or for some people, it's like, actually, this is serving a need that we can't quantify in dollars. So I don't care what they charge. So there's so many different pieces like that you want to make sure you consider as well.
And to go to your point about changing, my sister Shira always tells me, you're always changing something with your graphics. Like I said, I thought I was in a good place, and then I changed up again. I saw one of your videos, and I was like, you know what? I can change this. I can tweak this.
Yes, you
this.
can. Yes, you can.
Always change looks like.
But I mean, and I love the design of what you got right here. And I think it's the reason why I do what I do is because content should have your fingerprint on it. It should be yours, uniquely you. It should represent you. You know what I'm saying? So people shouldn't just be like, oh, okay, that's a StreamYard show. No, this is a BTS podcast, Nikki Nicole show. That's what it is. And when people see it, they see the design of it, they see the feel of it. And this is what I love about content. No two are alike, and it shouldn't be. If it's cookie cutter, then there's no reason for you to put it out there. Yes. Put your unique stamp on it and make it yours. I love that. So kudos to you for what you're doing. I love it. I love it.
So what motivates you to, build this personal? Well, you already pretty much touched on this a little bit. So I'm going to move on to the next question. How do you stay motivated?
How do you stay motivated?
And to especially create the content over and over again, because I go out every day and it can get tiresome to, continuously create because you have to.
Yeah. Well, I don't look at it as have to, right? I look at it as get to. I see content everywhere, and I've trained myself to do that. Quite literally, I see opportunity everywhere. I have actually adopted an abundance mindset. I actually do not believe that I can create all the content that needs to be created. So I look at it as I'm just putting a small dent in the content that needs to be provided to the world. And when I look at it from that perspective, I'm no longer on the hamster wheel. I'm no longer like, oh my gosh, how am I going to keep this up? I quite literally yesterday, I was doing something. I was like, man, this is a video. And I was able to turn on a camera that I had available and record something. And I don't know when I'm going to make that into a video, but I at least have it captured. And that becomes yet another piece of content. And those are the kinds of systems I want to help people build so that they can capture content in a more natural and organic way. And so how do I keep motivated? I keep motivated because I have what Justin Brown calls, if you're not familiar with Justin Brown, is from Primal Video. I think they just crossed 3 million subscribers at this point. Really good friend and somebody who's killing the game. Justin Brown calls it a praise document. And so he says, as he goes through his comments, and he, like me, and I don't know how he does this because he's got way more subscribers than I do, but he, like me, responds to all the comments personally on his channels. And when I go through those comments, sometimes you see people who are very disparaging, that don't like what you did. They should have done it like this. And you know what I do whenever I get those negative comments? I click on the person's avatar and look at their channel. And most of this, I want to say 9 times out of 10, they've got like 2 subscribers and 0 videos.
Wow.
And what that says to me is they're backseat driving. They will never create content, and they want to critique me, and I'm out here creating content. I don't receive the words you have to say. 9 times out of 10. On the other side of it, there are those who are commenting and they're telling me how the content has impacted them. Like one person sent me he commented on the video and then sent a DM to follow up to say, I am in tears right now. It is 2:00 in the morning. I was trying to figure out how to get this thing working. And your video, it's like you were sitting with me in the room, walking me through how to do it step by step by step. And by the time your video was done, the issue was solved and I was able to produce this show the next day. And I'm sitting here right now. I mean, your voice is still ringing in my ears because I listened to your video like 20 times. And I just cannot thank you enough for being willing to do the video in this way. So not just to share with us, you do it like this, but the fact that you shared screen and you walked us through step by step by step, it really helped me to get across the line. Those kinds of comments, I take them, I put them in a document. I don't read that document all the time because you don't want to, that kind of thing can get to your head, cause you to, have all kinds of pride and stuff like that. That's not what the document is for. I only pull that document out when I'm having bad days. When I need a healthy shot of motivation, when I need to reconnect with why I'm doing this in the first place. Because to be clear, even if that video only helped that one guy, it was worth me putting out the video.
Right.
And that is how I stay motivated.
Wow. Now you're gonna make me get a file and put it together and
Come
pull that on
on.
them bad days.
Get you a praise document, sis. You gotta have it.
Need it. I need it. Oh man.
Oh man.
So how do you define your role as the Geek Speaker Preacher? Now, where did that name come? Where did
Oh
that
my gosh. So as a IT professional, one of the things if you can't tell, I like to lean into spaces that I'm not very good at. And one of the areas that I realized I was not very good at was in communication. Public speaking was not my thing. Can't tell now, but
No.
public speaking was not my thing. I could not. I mean, it was really bad, and I failed my communications class because the final was to give a 5-minute speech, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't even read my name because my hands were trembling so
5
bad.
minutes.
5 minutes, I failed it. Okay, and I went into as I got into kind of the C-suite, executive leadership roles as an IT professional, I realized like communications is the name of the game. Actually, more so than being technically acute and aware and proficient, it was being able to translate those very deep technical requirements into the language of the C-suite. Like, how do we help our leaders who are making the decisions understand what the ramifications are? And so I really went down the rabbit hole of understanding communications, corporate communication, but communication from a broad standpoint. In fact, I even went to public speaker school. And so I actually began, one of my public speaking coach, Grant Baldwin out of Tennessee, has a program called Booked and Paid to Speak. And so he was recommending, he's like, okay, now everybody needs to go book a speaking engagement. My point was to learn how to speak in the C-suite. My point wasn't to go and speak on stages, but this was one of the requirements of the public speaker school. And so I did. And I got a chance to speak at a couple of different conferences, and those conferences absolutely loved me. And so I began to actually make the rounds on the public speaker circuit. So that's the geek and the speaker part, right? But every time I deliver, people would say to me, like, I felt like I just sat through a sermon. So that's the preacher part, right? So I don't remember who it was. Somebody said it. It wasn't me that came up with it. But somebody was like, you're like a geek speaker preacher. And I was like, that's dope. And I took that comment, and it was on my speaker page on the bottom of it. And, as people's comments would scroll through on the speaker page, that comment was one of them. And somebody who was helping me do a rebrand saw that comment. They were like, they call you the Geek Speaker Preacher? I laughed. I was like, yeah, somebody called me that at one of my speaking engagements. He was like, you need to run with that. You need to say that as often and as long as you can. That is gold. That just falls off of the tongue. That is, marketing, branding gold. And so it describes who I am. I'm a geek. I like to say self-professed Jesus geek. I love all things tech and media, but I also love speaking and the art of communication. That's something that I've actually studied up to and including Oprah Winfrey, and the art of an interview and being able to elicit from people more than they ever intended to share by the way you phrase and word your questions. And then, of course, listen, I can't help it. Every now and again, when I start sharing, I get very passionate about what is I'm talking about, regardless if it's technical, if it's motivational, if it's media, and it does come across as preaching. So the Geek Speaker Preacher, that's me. I embrace it.
I love it.
I embrace it.
For the people that's out there that's discouraged about YouTube because they're thinking about monetization, what advice do you have for content creators trying to build that channel and also trying to make it to a point where they can make money and get the views?
There's a statement that a good friend of mine, Walt Jeanette, says. He's like, I'm not new to this. I'm true to this. You're just new to me. I'm going to repeat that one more time. I'm not new to this. I'm true to this. You're just new to me. And for those, I say it that way because there are those who want to get started in this whole content creator world, but they don't actually have anything to say. They don't have any lived experiences. They want to start and do the Mr. Beast thing, or they don't actually have value to provide, because they don't have lived experiences that they've actually taken the time to learn from. Why I say I'm not new to this, I'm true to this, meaning I'm sharing my life. So I'm not new to this. I'm true to it. This is who I am. And if that categorizes you, then YouTube's just new to you. YouTube is new to you. You're just new to me. YouTube is just new to you. Why I say that whenever people ask me, I'm trying to figure out this whole monetization thing. I want to tell you, monetization is not a requirement that YouTube sets that you must meet. You can be monetized on day one. My first live show with StreamYard, I had 4 guests and I gave away a free subscription to StreamYard on my first live show. What am I saying to you? I'm saying to you, my first live show was monetized. My first live show was monetized.
Wow.
You have to look at it differently. Most people won't do the work behind the scenes and the infrastructure pieces that they need to implement and set up for the money to come to them. The worst thing you can do, and this is the challenge for many, is they have these breakout moments and they're not able to take advantage of it because they haven't done the work behind the scenes to actually, well, I was waiting for YouTube to say I was monetized, so I didn't really have any of that stuff set up. You don't have a prospectus. You have no, you know what I'm saying? You have no statement of services. How is somebody supposed to patronize you? Do you have an invoicing mechanism? Like, you want to be monetized. How does somebody pay you? I put it back on the person. You want to be monetized and you're putting your Cash App up?
Yeah,
No,
that's not the way.
That's not the way. That's not the way. It works. And no shade on the Cash App users out there. It works for what it works for. But if you're trying to be monetized, you're talking about invoicing. Set it up. Okay. And now what are you going to invoice for? See, this is the stuff that I like to say to folks in terms of monetization, because we got to work backward from where you want to be.
All right.
If where you want to be is you want a ton of views on YouTube and you want YouTube to send you a check every month, let me be clear. Even for those who have millions of subscribers, that check ain't big enough. It's not worth it. Okay? It's a good check. Don't get me wrong. But it's not where the real money comes from.
Right.
When a brand says to me, hey, Kirk, I want you to do a live show for 30 minutes. We're going to pay you $4,500. Okay? Let that settle.
Oh,
Yeah, no, before I get off the discovery call, they've got the invoice. Rest assured, they can pay it with check or credit card.
Okay.
Rest assured, yes, and my accountant will take that thing, receipt it, do all the proper and necessary taxes, and make sure the team is paid. But most people don't want to do that part.
Right.
How do I monetize? Okay, show me your infrastructure. Because monetization means you have the requisite infrastructure in place to receive the money you want to actually earn. You don't have that in place, you're not really serious about monetization. You just keep on hearing this term thrown around and you're trying to figure out how I can get a piece of the pie. And so if, regardless of what side of that thing you live on, don't lie to me or to Nikki. Look yourself in the mirror and be honest. Have I done the work to actually receive some money? Number one. Number two, why would anybody patronize me? Do they know what I'm an expert in? Have I shared with them that these are the things that you can come to me for and garner these services? I'll give you an example. One way, and I know we're over our time, sis, but this is just how I am.
Go ahead.
One of the things that most people do wrongly when they're creating content is that they will create marketing content and wonder why it's not getting them the type of response that they want. There's 3 types of content. There's discoverability, there's community, there's marketing. Discoverability, community, marketing. Discoverability, community, marketing. These are the 3 types of content. If you want to grow, you want to be organically suggested and recommended to people who you have not been able to talk to before, you need to squarely stay in the discoverability bucket of content. And in that bucket, what you do is you introduce yourself every time. Hey, my name is Kirk Nugent. I also go by the Geek Speaker Preacher. That's just a way for people to know that I like da-da-da-da. And on this channel, I give you step-by-step guides and practical tutorials for the do-it-yourself video creator that learns visually. Why am I saying that? Because I want my people to know this is for you. I want them to station identify. You're watching CNN. They don't just do that because it's a nice, it has a nice ring to it. That's station identification. They're letting you know you're watching CNN.
Right.
I want you to know you're watching How It All Works. The host is Kirk Nugent. And on this channel, I give you step-by-step guides, practical tutorials for the do-it-yourself video creator that learns visually. You see what I just did there?
Nice.
I'm letting you know this is the station identification. That's discoverability content. In my content, I'm going to give you the value up front. I'm going to repeat the value in the full video. And it's interspersed in the video, I may say something. Hey, I was talking to a coaching client and da-da-da-da-da. I've done that like 5 times since we've been on this podcast together. You know that, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What that does to the viewer or listener, it signals to them he has coaching clients. So what I didn't do is, hey guys, sign up for my coaching program. You can go right here. That's not what I did.
It's a difference.
There's a major difference because if I say, hey, my name is Coach Nikki and you need to sign up for this, that's marketing content. Mm-hmm. That's not discovery content. You want to stay in the discovery content lane, but you want to drop your breadcrumbs. Monetization means I know what words to say to get people to go to the top of my funnel. And once they're in the funnel, I have a system and processes in place to be able to turn that viewer into either a subscriber, a committed follower, a frenetic fan and mouthpiece, and paying customer. That's a whole customer journey. Most of us don't want to take the time to learn.
That's
Monetization is that. And that doesn't have 4,000 watch hours or 1,000 subscribers attached to it. You can do that day one.
Wow.
And earn money.
And you just blew my mind, and probably everybody that's going to be watching this. Day one.
Day one.
I'm over here reading stuff and watching videos and trying to figure out what I need to do. And you just gave me the gems now.
Right there. Day one. You're monetized. If you needed to hear that, right? Lock in. Just look at the screen for just a second. I want you to hear it from Coach Kirk one more time. You're monetized today. Now what you gonna do?
Right. What you gonna do?
That's the worst thing that you can have. Somebody messaged me early on and said, Kirk, can you come and train my church on how to live stream? I didn't have a price. I didn't even have an invoicing system. I didn't know how I was gonna. Grossly underpaid, taken advantage of, ended up coming out of pocket on that project. I learned my lesson.
That's all it takes is one.
Yeah.
It takes one.
But to be clear, I was monetized day one. They weren't waiting for me to have thousands of subscribers. They saw the value in that video and said, let me get this guy to come train my people. That's what content will do. Content drastically cuts down on the time it takes for people to know, like, and trust you. And know, like, and trust is what you need to have for people to spend money with you.
Absolutely.
I'm trying my best to shut up.
You're doing good.
It's difficult. It's difficult.
So what's one thing, we're getting to the end. What's one thing that you wish you would have known from the very beginning? Because me as a podcaster, author, everything that I do, I've learned so much from the beginning to now that I'm like, if I'd have known this from the beginning, I could have had this day one.
Yeah.
So what is one thing you wish you would have known from day one?
I wish I'd known what we just talked about, but that's the easy one. The low-hanging fruit is I wish I'd known I was monetized day one. That would have helped me. I would have set up infrastructure. I would have done some things slightly differently. But I think the other thing that I wish I knew back then is that my voice matters. I wish I knew. I was not speaking nearly as boldly as I should have back when I was starting out, because I felt like I was starting out. It's that same concept. I'm not new to this. I'm true to this. You're just new to me. And because people were new to me, I spoke like I was new. I took on the approach and the posture of a novice. But this is why I also coined the phrase, and those who followed my channel for a long time, you know this. In fact, it's even a t-shirt. We don't do humble on the live. People don't got no time for your humility when they're coming to see what's in your digital storefront. We want to see receipts. We want to see your CV. We want to see your resume. I want to know what you can do. I don't have time to be like, well, I dabble. No, I don't dabble. I live and breathe this stuff.
Yes.
This is what I do. And I need the person watching on the other end to know that. And I need to speak because what happened to me one time is I was interviewed on a show. And the person was like, oh, when'd you get started on YouTube? And I told her, I've only been on YouTube for a few, maybe a couple months at this point. So, I'm still kind of new. And then we started talking about live streaming. We started talking about all this stuff. And he was like, bro, hold up. You said you just got started. But the way you're talking about this, it's like, you've been doing this for your entire life. I was like, well, nah, I mean, I just got started on YouTube. That's not when I started in broadcast. That's not when I started in production. I bring the benefit of my entire experience to every piece of content that I create. And that's what you pay for. When you book the consult session, you don't pay for a solution. You pay for Kirk. Oh, God.
That's it.
You pay for the years of the blood, sweat, and tears, the sleepless nights when I'm up at 2 a.m. trying to figure out the Rodecaster video, which is what I was doing last night. With that piece of equipment just dropped. That's what you pay for, because nobody could actually pay me to do it. I would do that whether I was being paid or not, but I bring the benefit of that experience with me. And I would dare say, fill in the blank, whoever it is you're watching, you have something else that you do like that too. You're not new. You're just new to YouTube. So I didn't speak with nearly enough boldness when I was getting started. I wish I knew that my voice mattered, and it was unique and special and set apart and ordained for this particular moment.
I love that. Oh, love the way you said it. I wish I know my voice matters.
Yeah.
Ooh. Now, this is one of my signature questions that I ask now in every interview. This is the last question.
All right.
If you could have a conversation with your future self about everything that has happened in your life, what would you say?
With my future self.
Future self, not past self. Future self.
Future self. Oh, my. That's a good practice right there. If I could have a conversation with my future self, I would not. So I wouldn't be telling them anything. I would be asking them, right? Because they've lived what I have lived and more. And so I would ask them how the strategy worked. I would ask them what ended up happening with this or this, and these projects that we were concept in my mind and things that I haven't. Did we ever get Preach That off of the ground, which is a whole concept and a company that my wife and I have. It's a concept. We haven't even done anything with it. I would ask my future self, did you? Oof. That would be a dope conversation. But I would ask him, how did it work out? Where did we go? What did we experience? What was the next level? And then what was the level after that? And then what was the level after that? Who did we influence? Whose lives did we impact? Who did you get a chance to coach? What lives did they impact? Those would be some of the things that I would want to ask my future self. And I think that would be a really dope conversation. and I'll just add this, just as a coach, I just always say to people, we get to decide what that conversation looks like today. We get to decide by our actions and inactions what that conversation looks like today. Today, we get to decide what our future self will end up telling us. We get to set the ball in motion today. And so that's a really great question. I'm definitely going to borrow that one.
Thank you. You can grab it.
Absolutely.
All right. So I'm going to play a clip of just a real small clip of what you do. Now, after that, I'm going to give the platform to you, where you can give a little bit of advice to the content creators out there that are struggling, maybe they're thinking about just give it up.
Yeah.
And also let everybody know how to follow your journey and how to tune in and get your coaching, everything we have going on.
Absolutely.
For this snippet.
Here we go. Content on a specific, well-defined topic. It's about being more targeted and specific rather than trying to be everything to everyone. But by stacking them on top of one another, you create a new niche and more specific topic. If we continue with this example, you would speak to how you use photography to boost women's confidence, essentially achieving the same thing, hyper relevance to a smaller audience and more closely aligned to who you are. If you think you can benefit from this niching down hack, I'll share my personal story with you. Yeah. One of the things I love to share with people is that you're just one decision away. You're one decision away from achieving the goal, from realizing the dream, from unlocking your true potential. You're just one decision away. Decision making and believing in yourself and betting on yourself is a muscle. It's not a skill set. I want to be clear. It's not something that you learn once, and once you've learned it, it's like riding a bike. You just jump back on and you can ride. No, it's a muscle that can grow and it can atrophy. Believing in yourself is a muscle that you need to grow. And it only grows by hard work. Only grows by getting in the gym. It only grows by putting in the reps. It only grows by doing the non-sexy, non-limelight, behind the scenes, no one's looking work. You're just one decision away. One decision away. I want to help you make that decision. I believe that is the calling of my life, to work with creators of faith, purpose-driven content creators who want to share the value that is locked up in your story with the world around them. And I want to introduce you to a platform called YouTube, whose sole purpose it is to take your content and its value and pair it with people who stand in need of it. You're just one decision away. And that decision, I want to be clear, is not a decision to come and join me in my coaching program or become a member in the Workers Warehouse or subscribe to my YouTube channel. That decision is, I will no longer sit on my potential and my purpose. And once you've made that decision, the fruit of it will manifest in your actions, in your words, in your deeds. It will manifest in the YouTube videos that you watch, in the classes that you enroll in the people that you follow, in the next steps, in the things that you implement, the infrastructure that you set up, the content that you create. I would love to help you with those pieces, but you still have to make that decision. And I just want to end by saying you're just one decision away from unlocking it. Don't die not allowing your gifts to be given. My name is Kirk Nugent. I also go by the Geek Speaker Preacher. There's a link at the bottom of the screen right now that says kirkrnugent.com/card. All of my details are there. My YouTube channel, my coaching program, my membership program. You can even call me from that card. You can email me from that card. You can schedule a discovery call or a quick 15-minute meetup from that card. If something that has been said today stirred you, something that has been said today was like, man, but does he know me though? I dare you. I dare you to believe in yourself enough to give me a call. I dare you to believe in yourself enough to keep listening to the Breaking the Silence podcast. I dare you to take it serious. I dare you to lock in. I dare you to make that one decision. That's my time.
That's my time. Thank you so much for being a guest. I'm beyond excited. And if there's anything I can do on my end to help you, please let me know. We're
Absolutely.
locked in. Because I'm
Absolutely.
in it, we in it to win it.
That's right. I know that's right.
Period. And thank you so much, everyone else out there that's tuning into this amazing episode with Kirk Nugent. Oh my God, I am so excited. Do y'all know how many times I've sat and hours on hand and watched some of his stuff to make sure I was better at what I'm doing? A lot. I barely was catching him live, but I've caught him live a couple of times and I was like, yes, finally I caught him live. So, man, he's dropped so many gems on this episode today. So, if you're not doing what you're supposed to do in your life or want to do in your life, then guess whose fault it is? That's your fault. He said he was monetized on the first day. Blew my mind. What am I doing? That's making me go back and look in the mirror and say, you know what can you do differently? Because I've been on this road, this journey a long time with YouTube, seems like. But he said monetized on the first day. Wow. Got to do my homework. But thank you so much, everyone, for tuning into this amazing episode of Breaking the Silence. I hope today's conversation has brought you some type of insight, some type of encouragement, and a reminder that you are the blueprint. You can do it. You can put the work in. YouTube, he said, YouTube is new to you. Don't let that go across your head. So, as we continue this journey together, remember, your voice matters. Your life matters. And if you put in the work, you can accomplish anything you want to in this life. So I encourage you to reflect, share, and continue to break the silence in your own lives.
Niching down simply means focusing your content on a specific, well-defined topic.